Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, The Gospel in the Doc, a forum for discussing ideas I've written in my book, The Gospel in the Doc. Is the Gospel of Jesus Christ good for the church, humanity, and the world? And I'm going through the introduction in the beginning part of this kind of video series. And I'm going to read today a subtitle in the introduction called God as the Eternal Mystery and the Perpetual Gospel Way of Faith. And I'm just going to read this, and I'm not going to embellish it. I'm basically just going to be a reading today, so hopefully I'll read this well. I don't read that well, even my own writing, so, but here goes. Whatever view one has of Genesis, it seems that its main purpose is to present the fact that a relationship with God has always, quote, required faith, and that a, quote, fall from that faith is the reason for the manifold ills of humankind. Faith was not a solution added by God after the fall, but was needed from the beginning of God's creation of beings with free volition. This necessity seems evident in the fact that faith in God was necessary to, quote, pass the test of obedience regarding the forbidden fruit in Eden, and that suspicion of God was able to find root because of God's mysterious character. One could argue that God was only mystery to them because they were so, quote, young and had not yet grown in relation to God, and that if they passed the test, they would not have needed it afterwards. Their, quote, youngness was certainly true, and God meant for them to grow in wisdom through faith. But that probably did not mean that they would soon or possibly ever be able to know God fully, and in a sense, a childlike faith was likely meant to be perpetual, as Jesus taught in Matthew 18:3. What was important for human life was not the infallible human interpretation of providence, or the unrevealed eventualities of eternity, but rather living by faith under the present mysteries of existence, where finite humans were called to grow by embracing the faith relation to God. John Macquarie writes something especially relevant to the account in Genesis, wherein death is not yet in view, which is typically held to be the supreme cause of human anxiety. Macquarie writes, Paul Tillich, that is, talked about the shock of non-being, the realization that one will cease to exist. I think myself that more primordial than the shock of non-being is the shock of being. That's John Macquarie's quote. Thus, in the face of the shock of existence, the only alternative to faith was to seek to grow independently from relation to God by grasping for our own reasonable knowledge of good and evil that would conceivably make us, quote, like God. Stating that intention so baldly seems to reveal its folly, but its repeated attempt in every life seems to verify it as our chosen way. And so, ironically, the trade of faith for supposed, quote, pure reason resulted in the many forms of death in relation to God, self, and others that Genesis 2:15 to 3:24 narrates. Obviously, in Genesis, the fall of, after man failed the test of faith in relation to God, murder came upon the scene very swiftly with Cain and Abel, and then the Bible's a story of all kinds of misery after that. So at any rate, that's the reading. I hope it made some sense. If you have the book, you can probably, it's always easier sometimes to read than to hear a reading and follow it, but at any rate, hopefully that will spur some interest and, serve to, if you have any questions or discussion, feel free to post in comments. At any rate, that's part of the introduction to this book, and hopefully I'll be wrapping up the introduction in the next couple of videos. They may be not as quick of a pace. I'm in my busy season at work, and I'm not sure how often I'll be posting the videos here. I'm hoping to get more followers, so please like and share and subscribe, and hopefully we'll get this thing rolling. Thanks very much. Bye.